Hello friendos, it's Bella from the Bookish Badger, and today I am here to announce something very exciting, and that is the Rocky Horror Readathon. If you couldn't guess, the Rocky Horror Readathon is a Rocky Horror Picture Show themed readathon, the readathon I've been needing all my life without knowing it. It will be 2 weeks long, taking place between Sunday, October 18th to Saturday, October 31st, Halloween. For those of you who don't know, Rocky Horror Picture Show is a movie that was released in 1975. It's got a whole bunch of music in it. It is very campy. It is associated with Halloween and the October spooky season, and it's just a lot of fun when you go to see it in person. There are call-outs to shout at the screen. There are prop bags usually given to you or that you can buy, that you throw out things that they give you when certain lines are said. And there's just a whole bunch of weird fun things like cars breaking down and dancing and alien sex. You might be thinking, Bella, that sounds awesome. Of course I want to participate, because why wouldn't I? But why are you telling me about it? And it is because I am going to be one of the co-hosts of the readathon. Now you might be thinking, Bella, you said co-host. Who are the other hosts? Well, fear not, because I'm here to tell you. We have the creator, Becky, from Coffee, Cocktails, and Books. We have Merritt from Fictional Not Fantasy. We have Allie, who is at Book Confession 2 on Twitter. And there's Cait from Chapter Cait. I will, of course, be linking all of their channels and Twitters and the official Twitter of the Rocky Horror Readathon in the description box down below. Now you're probably thinking, well, Bella, this just sounds better and better the more you tell me, but what I really need to know to get into a readathon is the prompts and the style of the readathon, so tell me more about that. Well, fear not, because I'm about to tell you more about that. So this is going to be a bingo board style readathon with 24 prompts plus a free space. All of the prompts are going to be based on songs or characters from the movie, and of course, doubling, tripling, quadrupling books is absolutely fine. I will be putting a link down below to the bingo board, as well as an Instagram story specific sized bingo board, and there will be a Google Doc explaining all of the prompts. But if you want to hear the prompts in video format, that's what I'm here for. So here are the prompts in order from left to right, top to bottom. First, we have Once in a While. Read a book that is no longer or not considered canon. This is based on one of the songs that was filmed and ready to go for the movie, and they just decided to cut it out, even though it's a really good song. I don't know why. Next, we have Frank-N-Furter. Read a book with LGBTQIA plus rep. There's Time Warp. Read a book that sends you back, so gives you like a little bit of nostalgia or takes you back to a specific time in your life, something like that. Or maybe you want to interpret it differently, like sends you back as in it's set in a far back time period, or it has time travel to a far back time period. I don't know. I'm not here to dictate how you interpret this. Next we have Rocky, which is to read a book with gold on the cover, which how could you not acknowledge the iconic gold shorts? It's impossible. Next we have Rose Tint My World, which is to read a theatrical book or a book that incorporates theater or performance. The next prompt is dedicated to everyone's favorite slut, Janet, which is to read a popular book or a book that you've been seeing going around a lot, that's been getting a lot of hype. Next we have Science Fiction Double Feature, which is to read a book that is part of a duology. The next one is more of a song reference rather than a song, but it's iconic enough, and that is I See You Shiver with Antici. And that prompt is to start a book at the beginning of the readathon and don't finish it until near the end of the readathon. Next we have Dammit, Janet, which is to read a book that you've been putting off. And of course, if we have a prompt dedicated to Janet, we have to have one dedicated to everyone's favorite asshole, Brad, and that is to read a contemporary book. Next we have Hot Patootie Bless My Soul, which is to read a book featuring romance. Then there's Eddie, which is to read a book featuring a bad boy character. Then we have our free space, and following that is Riff Raff. Read a book with a sloppy or ugly cover. Then we have Toucha Toucha, which is to read a smutty book or a book with smut in it. Then we have Columbia, which is to read a fun book because, come on, Columbia is like the most fun character. Next is Over at the Frankenstein Place, which is to read a book with a spooky or eerie setting. And if you want to hold a newspaper over your head the whole time you're reading the book for that prompt, you know, it'd be inconvenient, but it's an option. Next we have the follow-up prompt to Antici, which is, of course, Patient, which is to read a book that is the last book in a series. Might be fun to match that one up with science fiction double feature, because for that one you could read the first in a duology, and for Patient you could read the second in a duology. It matches up perfectly. Next up we have Transsexual Transylvania, which is to read a book with either a trans or non-binary or gender fluid main character. Then there's Magenta, which is to read a book simply with pink or magenta on the cover. Then there's Superheroes, which is to read a book with monsters in it. Very appropriate for the October Halloween season. Next there's The Criminologist, which is to read either a thriller or mystery or suspense or horror novel. Again, super appropriate for Halloween. Next we have The Sword of Damocles, which is to read a book that's been looming over you, which is sort of like the Dammit Janet prompt, which was to read a book that you've been putting off, but the difference in my mind is book that you've been putting off is like it's way off in the distance and like it's still there, but it's off that you've been putting off, and looming over you is either I think you're intimidated by it, which is why you've been putting it off, or it's looming over you like it's been sitting on your bedside table and you just have not picked it up yet, which I have a feel like that. But anyway, back to the prompts. There's Dr. Scott, which is to read a book with disability rep. And finally there's I'm Going Home, which is to read a comfort story. Now I know that sounds like a lot of prompts, but remember that this is bingo board style, so you don't have to look at all those prompts and be like, I gotta complete all of those in 2 weeks, what? It's really just like completing bingo, which you could do 4 corners. If you interact with the free space, then you only have to do 4 of the prompts, or you could do 5 of the prompts. You could get a couple bingos within that time, so don't feel like there is any pressure in this whatsoever. Alright, that is pretty much it for this video. I am so excited for this readathon. I've never been the co-host of a readathon, and I've always wanted to be. I've always wanted to try that arena of booktubing, so I'm really glad to get to be able to do it now, and to have this readathon, of all readathons, be my first readathon co-hosting. Listen guys, I love Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've loved it, I think, since I was 14, which is maybe a little young to get introduced to Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I just loved it from the first time I saw it. I love the music, I love how campy it is, I love the shout outs, I love going to shows, I love even watching it at home with my family. I know that sounds weird, but we all just really like Rocky Horror. Anyway, don't forget to open up that description box down below to check out all of the things that I mentioned, because there's way more stuff in the description box this time than probably in any description box I've ever done for any other video. So definitely worth opening that up down there. I would love to hear from you guys what you think of this readathon, how you like the prompts, if you'll be participating, what your relationship with Rocky Horror is, if you have any questions, any of it, all of it, please leave it in a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, do not hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Do not hesitate to subscribe for more content coming soon, and I will see you in the next video. Bookish Badger, signing off.
torture with a candy man. Don't get strung out by the way I look. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not much of a man by the light of day, but by night I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet transvestite from Transsexual Transylvania. I see you shiver with anticipation. But maybe the ray is a red flame. So I'll remove the cause, but not the symptom.